For centuries, the sight of a meteor streaking across the night sky has sparked wonder, fascination, and even fear. The mysterious flashes of light as these space rocks burn through our atmosphere capture our imagination, making us ponder the unknown. But with that fascination also comes a cloud of myths and misconceptions, stories passed down through generations, embellished in books and movies, and perpetuated by curiosity. Today, we're going to shine a light on the truth, debunking some of the most common meteorite myths and misconceptions to reveal the real nature of these cosmic travelers. Let's start by setting the record straight. What exactly is a meteorite? The term is often used loosely, but in reality, a meteorite is the fragment of a meteoroid, a small rock or piece of debris from space that survives its fiery journey through Earth's atmosphere and lands on the surface. What we see when a meteoroid enters the atmosphere and burns up is known as a meteor or shooting star, but it's only when part of it reaches the ground that we can call it a meteorite. And these space rocks aren't just curiosities. They are like time capsules, offering us a direct connection to the early days of our solar system. Meteorites come in a variety of types: stony meteorites, iron meteorites, and stony iron meteorites, and each tells its own story. Some are made of rocky material, others of metallic alloys, and still, others contain a mixture of both. And while these space rocks seem mysterious, they actually provide scientists with a wealth of information about the building blocks of planets and the forces that shape the cosmos. Let's tackle myth number 1. Meteorites are so rare that finding one is nearly impossible. It's a common belief, and while it's true that most meteorites land in remote or uninhabited regions, the reality is meteorites are much more common than we think. Every single day, Earth's atmosphere encounters thousands of meteoroids, tiny, rocky debris from space. Most of these burn up before hitting the ground, but many fragments survive to make their way to Earth's surface, often unnoticed. In fact, the Earth is constantly bombarded by material from space. The only thing rare about meteorites is finding them in a world covered by vast oceans, deserts, and forests. In remote areas like Antarctica, scientists recover hundreds of meteorites every year. These locations act as natural museums for meteorites, where the harsh conditions preserve them. But rest assured, meteorites are falling to Earth all the time, and it's simply a matter of knowing where to look, or perhaps being lucky enough to stumble upon one. Now, on to myth number 2. Meteorites cause catastrophic disasters, even the extinction of the dinosaurs. It's easy to get caught up in the dramatic depictions of meteorites in movies, where massive space rocks crash into Earth and cause global devastation. And yes, it is true that the impact of a large meteorite is thought to have played a key role in the mass extinction of the dinosaurs about 66 million years ago. That impact created the Chicxulub crater in Mexico, an event that led to widespread environmental changes and the eventual demise of the dinosaurs. But here's the important detail. This event was exceptionally rare. The vast majority of meteorites that fall to Earth are tiny, some the size of a pebble, others as small as a grain of sand. These smaller meteorites simply burn up in the atmosphere, creating beautiful streaks of light, but causing little to no harm on the ground. In fact, the chance of a meteorite large enough to cause mass destruction striking Earth is astronomically small. In reality, meteorites rarely cause harm. While the fear of being struck by a meteorite is understandable, it's a risk so minuscule that it's almost laughable. Most meteorites land in oceans, deserts, or remote regions where they're unlikely to affect human life. And when meteorites do land, They usually cause no more harm than a small crater or a loud bang. Now, let's dispel myth number 3. Meteorites are hot when they fall. You may have heard stories about meteorites burning with intense heat as they race through the atmosphere. And it's true that they experience incredible friction during their descent. This causes them to heat up, often to thousands of degrees. But here's the catch. By the time a meteorite reaches Earth's surface, it has cooled down significantly. In fact, most meteorites are cold when they land, sometimes even cooler than the surrounding air. This might seem counterintuitive, especially since we associate the streak of light in the sky with intense heat. But by the time the meteorite has traveled through the thick layers of Earth's atmosphere, most of that heat has dissipated. What's left is a small, cold rock, sometimes just as cold as the night air. So, while the meteorite's fiery journey across the sky is breathtaking, the object itself is not hot when it lands. It's a simple fact that surprises many, but it's true. Meteorites are often chilly to the touch. Here's myth number 4. All meteorites are dangerous. We often imagine meteorites as deadly rocks from space, threatening to cause destruction or injury. But the reality is, most meteorites pose little to no danger. Yes, some meteorites are large enough to create a dramatic impact, but even in those cases, the threat to human life is minimal. Meteorites are small, and the vast majority of them fall in uninhabited areas, oceans, deserts, and remote regions. In fact, meteorites rarely hit anything significant. The odds of one landing in a densely populated area or causing significant damage are extremely low. And when they do land, most meteorites cause no more harm than a small crater or a brief, localized explosion. Even larger meteorites, like those that created craters in the past, only cause significant damage in the most extreme cases, which are exceedingly rare. It's also worth noting that meteorite impacts on Earth's surface have been happening for billions of years, yet human civilization has not been wiped out by falling rocks. The fear of meteorites is largely a misconception. While they may be fascinating and occasionally dramatic, they are not nearly as dangerous as popular culture often makes them out to be. On to myth number 5. Meteorites are easy to identify by their appearance. The idea that meteorites have a distinct, easily recognizable look is widespread. While some meteorites do have characteristics like a shiny fusion crust, many others look remarkably like ordinary rocks. Without the right expertise or equipment, it can be incredibly difficult to distinguish a meteorite from a regular stone. Meteorites often have irregular, jagged shapes and sometimes feature distinctive dark fusion crusts formed by the intense heat of atmospheric entry. But these features are not universal, and many meteorites are similar in appearance to terrestrial rocks. To really know whether a rock is a meteorite, you need to look beyond the surface. Scientists often use tools like electron microscopes to analyze the structure and composition of the rock, determining whether it's truly a meteorite. So, if you happen to find a rock that looks like it came from space, it's always a good idea to take it to an expert for proper identification. The key to identifying a meteorite lies in its composition, not just its appearance. And now, the final myth. Meteorites are always from outer space. It's true that most meteorites come from asteroids or comets that orbit the sun, but some meteorites, believe it or not, come from Earth itself. Occasionally, an asteroid or comet collides with the moon or another planet, sending fragments of that planet's material into space. These fragments can eventually fall to Earth as meteorites. In fact, some meteorites found on Earth originate from the Moon or Mars. These meteorites, called lunar meteorites and Martian meteorites, give scientists a rare glimpse into the geology of these other worlds. So, while meteorites are typically visitors from space, some of them actually originate right here in our own solar system. In the end, meteorites are much more than the mysterious and dangerous objects that myths often make them out to be. These space rocks are fascinating, scientific treasures that help us understand the early solar system, the history of our planet, and the cosmos at large. Far from being rare, dangerous, or hot, meteorites are regular visitors to Earth, many of them landing harmlessly in remote regions. They're small windows to the universe, each carrying a story of its own.